Hey guys, me again. Just thought I'd do a quick video for those people who are thinking of buying a second-hand Baja 5B, 5T or 5SC. Or even there's a 5R, which is a road one as well. Number one, ask as many questions as you can to this person who's selling it. Is it going? Why are you selling it? Are all the servos working? Is the motor working? So as long as the electrics and your motor's going, then you know, okay, the car is running. It steers, it brakes, servos are working, motor's working. Then you just ask what the general wear and tear on it is. They'll probably say, yeah, it's in mint condition. But when you go over there, this is what you got to look out for. First up, okay, you've worked out the motor's good. Just in case the guy's bushing, you just have a quick pull of the pull start. See if there's tension on that cord when you're cranking it over. If there's not much tension, it means, well, you haven't got much compression in that motor, so you'll be up for a rebuild kit, which isn't the end of the world. It's not a big deal to do, but something to consider. Maybe even mention to bring the price down a bit. Another big factor would be the chassis, the front. Everyone hits anything with the front of these things, and you'll see this top plate most of the time will be bent, which isn't a big deal, but then it bends the bottom of your chassis as well. And then when it bends your bottom of your chassis, where there's two bolts under here as well, they might split right where those two bolts are. So then your chassis is then no longer any good. So yeah, so that's something to consider when you're looking at it. Just see what the wear is on it. This one's pretty bad on the bearings or the carrier. I haven't quite worked it out what it is. So your hubs, your hub carriers, or the hubs themselves, or the bearings, something's not right. Check that. Make sure the plastics aren't broken or cracked. Give a quick go the electrics. Make sure the steering goes right and left. Pretty easy. And your throttle brake. What else do you want to look at? One of the other things that a lot of people don't do when they have one of these is maintain it properly when it comes to losing bolts and screws. Just have a quick look around, make sure there's no holes that aren't full. If there's a hole there, there's got to be a bolt or a screw, pretty much, most times. You know, I've seen some with bolts missing there, screw missing there, just things like that. You want to check your shocks, make sure your shocks work. These King Motor Rovan shocks aren't the best. A lot of the times they'll be empty, no oil, which means that you'll need new seals. So that's something else that you've got to look into. Make sure the shocks are alright. If they're not, there's another upgrade or another way of bringing the guy down on price. Over here, just have a look at the alloys. Make sure these braces aren't bent. If they're bent, that means it's been in a bad crash or rollover. What else is there? Make sure the brake's not on, and without the brake on, just wheel it. Make sure there's no funny notching sound or gear sound or whatever. That might mean that there's something wrong with either the spur and the pinion mesh, or there's some wrong with the gears in the gearbox. Which again, all these things aren't a big deal. They're not a big deal. but it's something you want to be aware of when you're making when you're trying to bargain him down on price. Like if he wants, let's say 400, and it's got all these issues, all of a sudden just go down to 200. You know, that's what you can do. And then instead of buying your stock top plate, you just buy upgraded. Just upgrade it, which isn't that much more than stock. So there you go. That's all pretty much I can think of. Yeah, motor, electrics, chassis, bent parts, bits missing, broken parts, cracked parts. Sometimes you might not find cracks in the, let's say, the arms. It's no big deal. They're not very expensive, but still, you know, just have a good look, as good of a look as you can, I guess. But if a thing is up and running right in front of your eyes, that's even better. But I normally just buy them. I just offer them something really cheap over a text, and it doesn't bother me what's really wrong with it, because yeah, I sort of know my way around it. So yeah, my choice on HPI, King Motor or Rovan. This is a Rovan. I haven't really run it. It's only going to be on the road, so it's not going to go through some hard jumps. I had a HPI. It felt a bit tighter when it came to the wheels and all that. And I had a King Motor, which was fine again. I just upgraded that as I broke it. And yeah, and the reason why I broke is because because it was my first my fifth go, I was a bit crazy with it. I was testing its boundaries, and when you do that, it's going to cost you money. So yeah, so there you have it. But once you get it home, once you get this thing home, I haven't done it with this one actually. It's probably one of the few that I haven't done, but I would highly recommend stripping it. As you strip it, take photos if you haven't got a manual. In that way, you know what's missing, you know what's rounded off that needs replacing, like bolts. A lot of people use a lot of Loctite, and then when they go to take it off, they round off all the inside of the bolt, and then your hex is gone, and oh, you need a heat gun, you need all sorts of tools to get it out. So, and it just teaches you. It just teaches you about the unit, so that if you know you pulled it apart, if you go out and you break an arm, you know how to replace it. Some people out there actually take it to a hobby shop to fix their Bajas. I think it's a bit of a waste of money, because the money that you've given him, you could upgrade that part for that same price. You know, instead of going standard, upgrade it. You know, instead of going standard arms, go the RPM ones. Highly recommend it. You know, but so there you have it. So I hope this has helped. If you got any questions or anything about these things, feel free to comment below, and catch you next time.